Hi everybody, this is Arkady Frekhtman. I'm a New York City personal injury trial attorney, and today we're going to be looking at arthroscopic shoulder surgery verdicts and settlements nationwide. And we could look at some statistics in terms of the highest results. We could look at the most recent cases, and we'll see how many cases we could get to. So let's get into it. But before we start, I actually wanted to say thank you to one of our viewers as well as a potential client. This lady reached out to me and we tried to find an attorney for her in her city. She wasn't from New York City where we work, but I believe she was in upstate New York. And you know, we did our best. I don't think we were actually able to find someone, but she was so nice that she got me this plaque over here with my name on it. You could see, I think she created this. It's like a very nice license plate. So thank you for that. I think her name was Anna. She's really sweet. So really nice. So thank you so much. That's awesome. So I'm gonna keep it in my office now, and I really like it. So yeah, let's get into this about arthroscopic surgeries of the shoulder. And this often happens because of a rotator cuff tear. So when we search, we see there are actually 7,700 cases. So there are a lot of cases nationwide. This is a pretty common injury. And the median number is about 217,000. The average is about 700,000. And then in the value range, it goes from 2,000. Although, of course, some will be zero, but just like in the value range, it goes from 2,000 all the way up to 10 million. And the highest verdict, but this case had other injuries as well, but the highest verdict is actually a verdict from 2016 for $183 million. So that's a crazy verdict. That involved a death and a crazy case, but that was, and there have been some, you know, $100 million cases. But I think probably for today, the best way to do it would be just to sort it by date. That way we could look at the most recent and see like what's happening now. Because, you know, you're always gonna have outliers. Like some cases, you know, gonna go for like 2,000, some cases go for like 100-something million, but you wanna see what's actually happening. So here's a case that happened April 30th of 2024. And it was a case in Queens, in New York. And what happened here was that plaintiff, who was 29 years old, he was a guidance counselor. He was operating a vehicle near the Van Wyck Expressway and Hillside Avenue in Queens. And her vehicle was involved in a crash with an 18-wheeler. And that was being operated by the defendant, and it was on behalf of a transportation corporation. And so she sued this defendant, arguing that he struck the rear of her vehicle after she merged into a lane. And the trial was bifurcated, which means there were two separate trials, one about liability and one about damages. And let me open up the document so we could see everything about this case. Okay, here's everything, yeah. Yeah, I recognize the plaintiff's attorney. I know him. He's a pretty good attorney. And I recognize some of the surgeons and the doctors. So yeah, the defendants basically argued that the plaintiff is the one who initiated contact with the truck. They argued that the plaintiff misjudged the amount of space available and then hit the side of the truck when she was merging. And so the trial, like we said, was bifurcated, so damages were not before the court. This was a liability trial. But the plaintiff went to Jamaica Hospital after the accident. She was diagnosed with partial tears of the right shoulder supraspinatus tendon and glenoid labrum. She additionally alleged synovitis, bursitis, adhesions, and impingement syndrome of the same shoulder. And she claimed a C4, C5, C5, C6, and L4, L5 herniation plus an L5S1 bulge. And she received physical therapy, acupuncture, and chiropractic treatment. And then she had arthroscopic shoulder surgery that included debridement, synovectomy, and lysis of adhesions. Now, she did this in April of 2019. The crash happened in October of 2018. So she did it, let's say, October, November, December, 3 + 4, 7 months later. So it's not too long. And the trial didn't happen until April 30th of 2024. So 6 years later. You see the courts are working pretty slowly. And so the surgeon said that in 2021, the plaintiff still had trouble lifting heavy objects, performing daily activities, and the plaintiff had a radiology expert who gave the opinion that the plaintiff required future follow-up appointments, diagnostic testing, physical therapy, chiropractic treatment, epidural steroid injections, assistive devices, and home health care. And the defense's radiology expert gave the opinion that the shoulder injuries were chronic and pre-existing. And so the verdict, oh yeah, and by the way, the demand in the case was $450,000 and the offer was $7,500. The trial lasted 2 days and the jury deliberated for 1 hour. And like I said, this is in Queens. So the verdict was actually 0. It was a defense verdict. The jury found that the truck driver was not negligent. So they agreed with this idea that when the plaintiff was merging, she just kind of merged and there wasn't enough room and she actually clipped the truck as she was merging. So yeah, that one was a 0. Let's see what other cases we have here. Here's a case out of New Jersey. And what happened here was that the plaintiff was a 53-year-old lady, and she was a factory worker. She walked into a laundry room of her apartment building, and she slipped and fell on water, and she suffered wrist and knee injuries. And she sued the building's owner, and she argued that they were negligent in having this condition exist that was dangerous. And she also sued some kind of design contractors, but they got dismissed during the litigation. So her lawyer argued that prior to the accident, the water on the laundry room floor had accumulated over an extended period of time. And additionally, there were no warning signs or precautions taken to safeguard tenants like her from this hazardous and dangerous condition. And the defense argued that there's no notice and that there had been no complaints of water accumulation or evidence that there had been a leak in the basement. And following the accident, the plaintiff sought medical attention and was advised to consult with an orthopedist, and she ultimately diagnosed with scapholunate ligament tear and synovitis of the left wrist and a medial meniscus tear of the right knee. And she came under the care of an arthroscopic surgeon, orthopedic surgeon, who did an arthroscopic synovectomy and open scapholunate ligament repair with wrist denervation. And so she had also an arthroscopy of her right knee. And so the result in this case was actually a pretrial settlement. So while the case was starting, the parties agreed to a settlement of $440,000. So not a bad result. The next case is from April 15th of 2024. And this one is also in Queens. Wow, Queens is popular. Queens Supreme. So what happened here was a pedestrian claimed back and knee injuries after being hit by a truck. So what happened here was a plaintiff who was 33 and a housekeeper. She was struck by a pickup truck. The incident occurred in the crosswalk of Hudson Street near Spring Street in Manhattan, and the truck's driver was executing a left turn onto Hudson from Spring, and the plaintiff claimed back, head, and knee injuries. And so it's a pretty straightforward case. Plaintiff's counsel actually moved for summary judgment, and the motion was granted. So it was a damages-only trial. There was no issue here, really, because, he made a left turn. She's a pedestrian in the crosswalk. He hit her. It's his fault. He should have seen her. So the injury was a lateral and medial meniscus tear of the right knee, along with suprapatellar effusion, chondromalacia, and synovitis. And there was an allegation of a traumatic brain injury and an L4, L5 herniation. And then she had an arthroscopic right knee surgery that included partial medial and lateral meniscectomies, a partial synovectomy, and a chondroplasty. And she had a round of epidural steroid injections and a microdiscectomy. And so she sought recovery of past medical expenses. There was a life care planner. And so the jury found that the plaintiff did sustain a significant limitation or use of a body function or system, because you have to prove serious injury in these kinds of cases. And they allowed for a total of $799,889. And it broke down as $5,000 for past pain and suffering, $23,000 for past medical expenses, $1,900 for past medical expenses for treatment at a hospital, $10,000 future pain and suffering, $35,000 for past medical expenses, $24,000 for past medical expenses for physical therapy, $12,000 for past medical expenses for treatment with a specific doctor, $672,000 for future medical expenses for 37.8 years, $15,000 for past medical expenses for treatment with another doctor. So the total was close to $800,000. It was $799,889. And the trial lasted 4 weeks. The jury, the deliberations were 2 days. The jury vote was 6-0, and the jury was six men on the jury. And let me see, who was handling this case? Oh, it just mentions an attorney. I actually don't know this attorney that represented the plaintiff. I do recognize some of the experts, like the neurologist, neuropsychologist. The life care planner. I've used that life care planner myself. Oh, and the surgeon. I recognize 2 of the surgeons. Okay. And I recognize the defense firm as well as some of the defense experts. So it was a case involving State Farm as the carrier. So yeah, so I guess that's good. What we'll do is let me try to fix this search, and I'll do another video, because I was intending to do the video about the shoulder, but for some reason, this particular result was showing me all types of arthroscopic surgeries, because remember, the first 2 I think was shoulder, but then the third one was a knee. So let me see if I could do a better search so it's only the shoulder, and that way we could do a video about shoulder arthroscopy. And then we could do another one about knee arthroscopy, just so we keep it a little bit separate. And then we could also do some for specific locations, like big cities, maybe Los Angeles, Atlanta, New York. But this one I was actually running nationwide just to see what the trends were. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Let us know what questions you have. Please like and subscribe to our channel. We are here for you. Our goal is helping serious injury victims and their families. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.